A top terrorist involved in the Abbey Gate terror attack at Afghanistan's Kabul airport that killed more than a dozen American service members has now been apprehended and extradited to the United States. According to a criminal complaint, Mohammed Sharifullah, an ISIS-K operative, admitted to FBI agents that he was involved in planning the suicide bombing in 2021. In all, 13 Americans died in that blast. Members of the U.S. military working to help Americans and eligible Afghans flee during the chaotic withdrawal of all U.S. forces from Afghanistan. Among those killed were Ryan Christian Knauss, the staff sergeant for the Army Special Operations Forces. He was just 23 years old. Ryan Knauss's mother, Paula Knauss Selph, joins me now. Paula, thank you so much for taking the time this morning. It's really appreciated.
Thank you for having us on today.
It was just, talk about a stunning moment this week during President Trump's joint address when he announced that the terrorist suspect had been caught. How were you told, and were you told before the president's speech, ma'am?
So I wasn't on the phone call. I actually got a lot of pings about the time he was announcing it. And when I heard that we are bringing justice just a little bit more to our men and women who wear the uniform, I am so pleased. So if we can take one terrorist off the list of harming Americans, especially our soldiers, then that is a good day.
I can hear the emotion in your voice. I know this will never get easier to talk about. You've been waiting years for this news. As Ryan's mom, when you first got that phone call and you knew that this man connected to your son's killing was finally in custody, you must have had just a mother's visceral reaction.
Well, what I can tell you right now is that as long as we're bringing justice for our men and women who wear the uniform, then we are truly doing our job as Americans. And I want to give kudos to the president for keeping his word to many Americans right now across the board on all kinds of things he's doing, including bringing justice to our 13 kids and those who were serving in that 20-year war.
I know you're still searching for accountability. What exactly does full accountability, full justice look like for you?
Well, Biden robbed us a little bit there, didn't he? He pardoned everybody that he could find that could or could not be responsible for many things that happened in our nation during the debacle of his administration. So that's one thing that is never going to bring full justice, is the fact that we cannot bring justice to those who were in the decision-making on our part. But what I can tell you is this: if we can take one terrorist off the list, that's a good day for our men and women in the uniform.
I'm curious, did you ever have the opportunity to talk with President Biden or anybody else within his administration to ask what happened? About their decision-making process and the withdrawal, and just ask some of your burning questions as mom?
Yes, I met with President Biden. He asked me to come to the White House on Memorial Day a couple of years ago, and his conclusion is that a photo op was a better decision on that day with me than it was to answer questions that I really had burning, which is, it should have never happened, and why did it?
And before I let you go, just tell us more about your son, Ryan. I know that, you acknowledge he was doing exactly what he was meant to do, but you had begged him not to go. He volunteered to go. Who was your son, for those of us who didn't have the pleasure of knowing him personally?
Well, you took my breath away at the beginning of this interview by seeing him in his element, which was dressed in uniform and just truly using his remarkable smile to just tell you he was in the right place at the right time for what he was doing to help save lives. It was short-lived for his life of 23 years, but I can tell you that if he had to choose it again, I'm certain Brian would say, "Send me."
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.